Perfect.
Somebody once told me Werewolf Radar's on, and we're listening about ghouls and about ghosts. That's the new theme song. I think.
Sorry, Chuck. We're the songwriters now.
Somebody once told me a ghost is gonna hold me and scare my bones right out of my butt.
Ooh.
Is another verse, I think. Folks, welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name's Jordan Dahl.
I am Roger Norquist.
And Nate Balding was throwing away a piece of trash and got pulled into the trash by a grouch. That's right, the grouches have risen from the trash universe and have once again deigned to lay hand on mortal flesh. Breaking the covenant of Sesame Street, the war is back on.
Mm-hmm. Prepare yourself, get ready for it. We're going to be talking about that next week.
Get your makeshift weapons ready. It's time to start burning trash again. It's time to start making trick garbage. You throw it away like it's regular garbage, but it's actually filled with clean laundry, which grouches hate.
Mm-hmm. They do.
It burns their flesh like fire.
And we'll win this war. We'll win this war.
Just like we did the first time when we drove them back to the Trashiverse to lick their wounds and pray to their false god, Oscar. Their false prophet. Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by the Monstroco Monstrophone, a smartphone like no other, smarter really than we'd care to admit. The Monstrophone is capable of calling, texting, decision-making, autonomous judgment, and righteous execution. The Monstrophone will replace you if you aren't careful. The Monstrophone by Monstroco. Don't answer that.
Oh, that's a fun one. I can just imagine. This is on me. I didn't open up my package that we got from Monstroco yet, so I can't talk about it. But the description that they sent you makes it seem like the Monstroco puts on your suit and wears your tie. And I'm like, I'm Jordan now.
It definitely does. It learns about you through algorithms and silicon chips and such. And as you give it more and more of your personality, it takes more and more of what you are and synthesizes it. And before you know it, it's drinking milk right out of the carton. You know, it's sleeping in the bed with your wife. It's wearing your suit and reading the newspaper and teaching your kid how to ride a bike. And you're sealed in a box and returned to the factory for repairs, it says.
They're not going to repair you, are they?
They're going to repair you. They're going to turn you into a phone. They're going to take your soul out and make you a phone like they did with all those other poor saps. But you should buy one. You should still buy one. Roger, can I take the speaking skull first?
Yeah. Let me open up the crate. Here you go. I'm not going to actually open up. I just unlocked it. I'll leave the opening for you because I don't want to get bit again.
I will open it. I will sprinkle in a couple of decoy fingers. And once it is sated, I will pull the speaking skull out and speak gingerly into its orify. I want to talk today about shape-shifting witches. I was going to talk about aliens, but it's been a pretty alien-heavy few weeks. And I got to tell you, fuck aliens.
You're what am I trying to say? You got the alien fatigue?
It's not even that. I'm just, the more I learn about aliens, the more I'm like, you guys are fucking assholes. There's a climate crisis happening. You know, we're on the brink of nuclear tickle fights. And what are they doing? They're fucking giggling and playing Luca in the surf and just fucking hanging out underwater, fucking eating L&L Hawaiian barbecue and listening to Jimmy Buffett having the fucking time of their lives. Help! Pitch in, you fucks. We share the planet. How about? I know you listen. I know you're listening right now on your Zune 5. They're the only ones who got the updated Zunes.
Our demographics do say that 20% of our listeners are of extraterrestrial origin. So we know you're there.
Phone the mother base ship house and be like, hey, you know, trash tag. let's clean up these oceans. The oceans are full of plastic. And sure, we did that. That was us. But
we're good neighbors, clean up each other's messes.
I guess is what I'm saying. Just give us some of the tech. You know, I know they've given us some of the tech, cell phones,
Velcro,
the Segway, that apparatus that you attach to your balls to electrocute it for romantic purposes. That was aliens. But we need the good shit. Here's what I want. Here's my list of 3 alien technologies that I demand before 2025.
Yeah, get the demand sheet out. Get the demand sheet.
Anti-grav gun.
Yes.
For lifting large things and moving it around, which would also in turn, make for anti-grav cars and jetpacks and stuff. But we'll start with the gun. That other stuff isn't going on the list.
I can shoot my car and then it can go.
Oh, nice. And then you fly it to work, just tumbling through the air, all fucking Harry Potter. Anti-grav gun. I want a maker box, like where you could put like ramen noodles with garlic and green onions on it. And it'll be like, and make me some ramen noodle with garlic and green onions. And I want a version of the ball electrocuting apparatus that doesn't catch on fire quite so easily. Those are the 3 things, the top 3 that I'm demanding. And if my demands aren't met, fuck aliens. will stand. My stance. So today we're talking about shapeshifting witches. This is from a website called icysedgwick.com. And I've been reading a lot of stories, particularly on the humanoid encounters and paranormal subreddits. That's right. I'm on Reddit. Don't at me. It's interesting. It's the front page of the internet, for the love of God. And if you can filter through all the assholes, it's a great source of spooky nonsense. And I've been hearing a lot of stories about people seeing shape changeroids, changing shapes. People who are people 1 minute and then, like a cat with wings the next minute, or like a bird with skis on.
Some real morphologists.
Yeah, or some real fucking anamorph shit. So I was working, I saw one particular comment, and I'm sure I've mentioned this before. I saw one particular comment that mentioned, they were like, the only thing that I can think of to explain what you saw was some people, some practitioners of magic with a K in your area doing some shape changing work. And so I was like, shape changing work? What does that mean? And so I did a little Googling, and I found an article here on Icy Sedgwick. I don't know what Icy Sedgwick is, but it sounds like the name of a fucking sweet, witchy singer-songwriter. So that's what I'm going to assume. Yeah. And this is an article entitled "Shapeshifting Witches from Witch to Hair and Back Again." We're gonna,
that's not a bad sub. I like that.
We're gonna kind of skip over the first little bit because they sort of just talk about the wizard battle and Sword in the Stone. You remember that?
Oh, the cartoon?
Yeah, the Disney cartoon.
Yeah, that's the reason specifically why I'm doing anything with coffee or tea. I go, say when. And just pour huge amounts of whatever in there.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, that might be my favorite one.
It's a good one. I forget about it.
If you don't know, Merlin fights the Mad Madam Mim in what he calls a wizard duel, where they turn into different animals and they try to kind of one up one another. And he says no purple dragons and such, and she cheats and turns into a pink dragon. Kind of bending his rules. It's great. You should watch it. And then he wins in the end by becoming a germ because he's a genius, you see. And they haven't learned about germs yet. Anyway, I'm getting off topic.
Great movie. Check it out. It's one of the weirdly forgotten classics of Disney.
It was all hand drawn too. See, now I'm getting back into it. Anyway, This is the segment called Witches and Their Animal Forms. Witches are often associated with animals through the array of familiars they keep. We know these things, snakes, ravens, great gray cat, also known as the grimalkin, which is a fun name for a cat. What would you have? What would your familiar be?
Oh, what would a dog, straight up?
Just a dog, a nice dog.
Just a dog, yeah. Nice dog, kind of like a Scratch from your Baldur's Gate. It would love to give me things. I'd throw stuff at it. We would just giggle all day long.
If I could kind of have any familiar, anything. It might be something real weird, like a possum with wings, or like a little monkey with the face of Larry Bird or something.
Because you can have whatever. It doesn't have to be like an animal that exists proper.
It's like an elemental in the form of a little helper. What if you just had a tiny macho man?
I would choose dog if the option of tiny macho man was not there, for sure. I'm tiny macho man and then dog.
I think he would behave like a dog too.
Oh yeah, he would love jerky so much.
It's time to feed me, brother. I eat only Slim Jims. Let's go outside and throw the tennis ball around, brother. Brother, I heard some lightning outside. Can I curl up in bed with you?
Of course you can, Macho. Get in here.
Brother, the mailman's here. Let me out so I can suplex him.
And
he is only like maybe 2 feet max. Sure. Like, it's adorable.
Yeah, it's adorable. In other tales, the witches themselves are believed to turn into animals. Shapeshifting sometimes emerged in confessions, and courts would accept reports as evidence of the witch's guilt. So if somebody was like, I saw a goody bad mother turn into a monkey with the face of Larry Bird, they would be like, okay, to jail with you.
Wait. Because I'm a stoner, they would throw that person in jail, or that's more than enough evidence to get goody bad
mother.
Yeah,
would go. That was more than
instantly.
Enough. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. At least on like a possible witchmanship detain, a 42-hour witch hold, if you will.
Right, because and to their credit, I guess in this case, it would be better to be safe than sorry.
Sure.
And let's just put the possible witch in quarantine. You're good if you don't transform after 48 hours, but we just got to keep an eye on you.
And here's the thing. If you could transform, you'd get out of there lickety split. Nothing will slip the bars like a monkey with Larry Bird's face. Incredible fundamentals on that thing. Whether it was a demonic illusion or a literal transformation, shapeshifting still linked the witch and the devil, which seems strange because it seems like there are other ways to kind of gain that power, psychic projection, sort of fey magics and things of this nature. But, it was the witch trials. They were all friggin' horny for the devil, frankly.
Because the devil's hot. He's got that beard and shit.
That was the year they came out with Beard and Abs Devil.
Yeah, and like, I'm a straight man, and even I gotta admit, like, if my lady leaves me for the devil, I understand.
You'd be like, sure, yeah.
I get it.
He's wearing a fitted blazer with no shirt on underneath. I get it. I played Baldur's Gate.
Yeah,
I understand. That said, Owen Davies notes that shapeshifting witches are quite common in folklore, but they're less common in 16th and 17th century records. While shapeshifting was important witch lore, it doesn't appear that much in court cases. Because honestly, if you were a shapeshifting witch and you were in court, you'd just fucking, bamf. Now you're in trouble. I'm a fucking wumpus cat and you're all going to die.
Or you're just done with this altogether and you want to go the pacifist way to be like, okay, now I'm a mosquito. I'm out of here.
I'm a germ like Merlin did. A genius maneuver.
Now you're all dead. And now you have Werewolf Radar's theory on how the Black Plague existed.
I think bursting into mice would be a good one, and then you scuttle into the walls. That would really freak them out.
You would have to become a rat king because you have to work. You can't. How does that work? You can't just bust into a bunch of rats and then do all the rats hang out together.
It's a high level spell. It's you're scattering your consciousness a bunch among many different thought forms here. I'm not going to say just anyone can do it. and frankly, if you were the type of witch or wizard who could do that, you probably wouldn't have been caught in the first place. But
fair.
You know,
what happens if I squish
crawl
one?
form? Crawl form is what they call it in the Werewolf the Apocalypse universe. Yeah, there's were spiders, and they can turn into like a giant spider, a man spider, or something they call crawl form, which is just a bunch of spiders, which is terrifying. I think if you smashed one of them, like when the creature recoalesced, they'd have like a missing finger or like a fucked up finger or something. You know, it would be a wound. Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah,
gotta get into that game.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. World of Darkness kind of rocks. Anyway, so Davy suggests that this could be due to the relatively harmless animals linked with witches. In mainland Europe, witches were said to turn into wolves and attack people. Few people in Britain were at risk from a witch in the form of a toad. You know, it's not like they like we were saying, if you were accusing a witch and she's like, well, guess what? I'm a wolf now, and you're fucking one throat too few, my friend. Whereas if you're accusing somebody of being a witch and they turn into a toad and they're just like, oh, there better not be any fruit flies around or I'll gobble them up. It's not much of a problem.
Do they have to? Is it like a cultural thing to where the British witches just are turning into silly things and the German ones are like wolves? Why would you turn into anything else? Or is it like that's what they have to?
I like to think of it as like being a professional skater.
Sure.
Know? Like some people can do a McTwist. Some people can barely ollie.
Gotcha.
So the more you practice, this is why it's important. Witches, warlocks, it's important to work on your skating fundamentals. It's an important zen and the art of skateboard shapeshifting. I think it's just a higher level form of shape work, if you will. And maybe there's even, maybe there's shit beyond that. Maybe there's like, I can become an invisible stalker. I can become Geff the talking mongoose or whatever. Goodare notes that cats were common because unlike today, cats lived outside in the barn as working animals around the farm. They'd pull a tiny plow around and they'd milk the cows and you'd get half of that milk probably at the end of the day if you were lucky.
Quarter of it would be sour.
Yeah. Their unpredictability made them good candidates for demonic shapeshifters. They were more feral than domesticated. Cats were not the lazy Instagram chubsters that we love to hang with today. They were, barn living, blood drinking killers that merely tolerated us. They're still not true. Some are domesticated, but like the cats are new to this, if I understand it, to where like we really just like got some cats and let them live in a barn and we're like, don't touch that cat. Yeah. And then eventually the cat was like, all right, you can touch me here, right on the head. And that's it. Don't move your hand. Meanwhile, hares were prey animals rather than predators, but they were unpredictable, fast, and hard to catch. Being able to avoid your enemies was a useful skill for both witches and hares. Turning into a hare also allowed them to race across the fields to attend sabbaths or steal butter and milk from their neighbors. You know how hares love butter and milk?
I do.
Fucking little dairy monsters. That's why their cholesterol's so high. In certain parts of Wales, Ireland, Scotland, and Scandinavia, people believed witches would turn into hares to suckle from cows. Feels like a bit of a stretch, but yeah, all right. By the 19th and 20th century, most of the records of this belief come from northern England. In North Yorkshire, one witch named Nancy Newgill apparently transformed into a hedgehog to steal milk.
This is elitist of me for saying it, but I assume the problem is you just need a cow.
I gotta say, turning into a hedgehog, if anything, would make it harder to steal milk.
Because they need to be standing.
They're so short.
Yeah. Cows need to be standing. When they're sitting, it's all smushed up, right?
You know what could steal the hell out of some milk? Tiny Macho Man.
I got it in a headlock.
Just squeezing that milk out.
Yeah. Also, I'm being told from our Dark Council chat that stolen milk is sweeter.
It's the sweetest milk of all. Witches thus transformed apparently also ate or damaged the agricultural produce of their neighbors, eating cabbages, carrots, things of this nature. But it's also very confusing because you know what else does that? Regular old animals. Occasionally, people thought witches turned into dogs, birds, or insects. Goodare notes witches confessing to shapeshifting into whales so they could sink ships in Norwegian and Icelandic narratives. That's crazy. Cool. Elsewhere,
whales are huge. I guess the narwhal would be like one of the smaller ones, and even that's you're changing a lot of mass there, but I guess they're becoming small things. Why not larger things?
I mean, the narwhal, that's your Cadillac of witches right there, right? Cadillac of whales, rather. That's for sinking a ship.
Comes with a hood ornament.
Just punching holes in the boat. Skewering tuna. What a night. Anyway, turning into whales. Elsewhere, the witch might not shift their form, but the devil might. So various animals were considered to be the devil in disguise. Interesting. Still with abs and a sport coat with no shirt on underneath.
Yeah, that's how you know that animal is the devil.
You know. Owen Davies notes that the animals varied by location. Here you go. In Lincolnshire, witches might appear as toads, dogs, or magpies. In Gwent, they might be rats or greyhounds. Witches weren't restricted to animals either. Much like that. Here we go. This is where we get into Tiny Macho Man territory.
Nice.
Much like the Headley cow and its ability to appear as inanimate objects, one witch in Durham might take the form of a large sheet draped over a hedge. Okay.
We're getting into some crazy paranoia now to be like, be careful. If you see any laundry hanging out, it could be a witch.
That's a witch.
That's a witch.
Even as late as 1837, a young woman accused a witch of transforming into the Jack of Hearts after previously taking the form of a black cat. Seems like a downgrade, honestly.
What would be the purpose of becoming the Jack of Hearts?
So you could hide in a deck of cards, and then when somebody goes to they're like, I guess that witch is gone. I'll play some solitaire. And then they get to the Jack of Hearts, and you jump out and bewitch them, steal their knees or whatever.
All right, it would work. It would work on me.
Yeah. A 13th century report by Gervais of Tilbury noted that people had wounded women while in the form of cats. They turned up the next day with corresponding wounds while in human form, a pretty classic motif of werewolf legends.
That is a little bit more unusual.
Mm-hmm. Stephen King's Silver Bullet uses this trope to great effect. By 1663, people so fervently believed the idea witches could shapeshift, many considered confessions including shapeshifting to be true. Surprisingly, the belief in the shapeshifting applies to abilities of witches survived into the 20th century in the British Isles. Famed witch Isabel Gowdy. These are some shapeshifting charms. We've actually talked about Isabel Gowdy before. Provided a range of charms during her, quote, confession in 1662. According to legend, she'd met the devil twice, once on the road and once in Allerns Kirk, to baptize her in his satanic ways. The devil sucked some of her blood out of a scratch on her shoulder. He spat this onto his hand and baptized her with it.
This makes it seem like the ritual is just finding a wound, smearing your hand on it,
Yeah.
spitting on it, and then slapping you on the forehead.
It's pretty roughshod. Pretty slapdash shit out there.
I think the devil's making this up, if we're being honest.
It really feels like he's winging it. When she or other witches wanted to turn into a hare, for instance, the charm was as follows. I shall gae into a hare, and with sorrow and sich and meikle care, and I shall gae into the devil's name. I quibble, I come home again. That's some pretty old Scottish stuff. She basically is saying, I shall go into a hare with sorrow and such in meikle care. I'm not really sure what that means. And I shall go in the devil's name and quibble or until I come home again. To turn back into a human, which they would have to recite this as a hare. So I'm assuming it's a hare with like a person's mouth, kind of like those Quiznos critters. They would say, Hare, hare, God send thee care. I am in a hare's likeness now. Oh, wait, likeness just now. But I shall be in a woman's likeness even now. Which, hare, God send thee care. I am in a hare's likeness just now, but I shall be in a woman's likeness even now. And then they would bamf back.
Do the whole spin, and then they're woman.
Yeah, a definite spin. Absolutely, a spin was involved. To turn into a cat, similar charm. I shall gae into a cat with sorrow and sich and a black shat. And I shall gae in the devil's name. I kill, I come home again. Now, I don't know, but I think this one would be, I shall go into a cat with sorrow and such and a black shat.
Yep. The cat's poop is black.
Yeah, it would be shitting black. And I shall go in the devil's name. I kill until I come home again, I think. Or crows, same thing. I shall gae into a craw with sorrow and sich and a black thraw. And I shall gae in the devil's name. I kill, I come home again. If you try any of these, you do so at your own risk. Let me know if they worked.
Okay, Jordan, did they work?
I did just blast them out loud with very little care. But I think since I did it in kind of a parody sense, no, they haven't worked quite yet. Maybe it's a time release thing. I will report back if anything strange happens.
Mondays, Werewolf Radar, twitch.tv/Werewolf Radar. We'll see if Jordan's all three of these.
Shapeshifting update. Boy. Yeah, it's a good thing that I did a couple of them. I did the reverse so that it would, I guess it would just be the crow, which is, that's in terms of Baldur's Gate, that's your most powerful wild shape until about level 6. Not most powerful, but I mean, they can blind things. Anyway, I won't get into it.
You can, human-wise, you can fly. You can also eat trash. You're more invincible than ever when you become a crow.
You can eat trash anyway. If you believe.
Fair.
But much like Nate, you run the risk of being swept away into the Grouchiverse, the Trashiverse.
Yeah, the trash wars are upon us. Everyone be safe out there.
This last segment is the belief in shapeshifting witches. Julian Goodare notes people didn't believe folkloric narratives wholesale and instead assessed them based on what they knew. He gives an example of a person hearing a report that a woman in the village could turn into a hare. You wouldn't immediately dismiss the story based on its impossibility, but you would ask yourself if the person giving the report was trustworthy. Is this a local wizard or some sort of hare rancher, or is it just some blithering drunkard?
I mean, let's bring this close to home, Jordan. What you do when your lady comes home saying, I walked through an alley of redacted and I saw this person change into a crow.
I would believe her. She's quite straightforward. She's also pretty pragmatic, so she's pretty practical. She wouldn't go making up a yarn like that like I would just because it's Saturday and my ADHD is acting up and I need some chaos around the house. She would probably be pretty shook, and she would be like, the weirdest thing just happened, and I'd be like, sit down, let's talk about it on Werewolf Radar. I need this.
Where your names will be protected if you choose. Werewolfradar.com. Contact us if you've seen someone change shapes.
Please hit us up. We would love to know that. One story seems to have been more of a rural legend than a tale, in which hunters could never quite catch a particular hare in the area. It always escaped, only to disappear in the same place near a witch's cottage. On those occasions, when the hunters knocked on the door, they'd find the witch at home, but strangely out of breath. It's just, we got a Peloton, and well, sorry, just let me wipe this milk off of my mouth. Nothing. What are you doing? Eventually, one of the hunting dogs managed to bite the hare, and the woman appeared a few days later with a wounded leg. We've seen it 1,000 times, folks. Witches transforming other people. William Henderson relates a tale from Yarrowford in Scotland, where a blacksmith had 2 apprentices. The younger one grew lean and pale, though he wouldn't expand on what ailed him. Eventually, he confessed to the elder apprentice, his brother, that his mistress was a witch. She used a magic bridle to turn him into a horse every night and rode him to exhaustion on the moors so she could attend her feasts with other supernatural beings, Santa Claus, Dobby, etc. Then he carried her back in the early morning, and he was too exhausted to work the next day. Sounds like a metaphor for sex. Anyway, his brother decided to catch her at it and swapped beds with the younger apprentice.
Nice.
That's pretty horny. The witch arrived as expected and turned the elder brother into a hunting horse with her magic bridle. He carried her to a nearby cellar where she caroused the night away. He rubbed his head against the wall. He loosened the bridle, and when it fell off, he turned back into his human self. When the witch returned, he threw the bridle over her and turned her into a gray mare. He rode her to exhaustion, realizing at one point that she'd lost a shoe. The apprentice had her reshod at a smithy that opened early and wore her out on the ride home. She was just in time to get back into bed before the blacksmith awoke. What?
I'm sorry. Was this story supposed to be so erotic?
I don't know. I think it also intimates that the mistress was the blacksmith's wife.
Yes.
So that was part of it. Later in the day, when the mistress complained of being ill, the doctor discovered horseshoes nailed to her hands. I'm sick, doctor. What seems to be bothering you? My hands hurt. Oh!
I feel this was a surprise to her. Like, they both looked at it for the first time together, and she went, "Oh God, my hands!
Oh my! I must have trod on some horse's shoes." She also had bruises on her side where the apprentice had kicked her during the ride. The boys finally spoke up and told their master what had happened. He sided with them, and the authorities tried her as a witch at Selkirk and burned her as a witch soon after. Now it has simply become a tale of an accused woman, which is pretty sad. They cured the younger apprentice by making him eat butter made from the milk of cows that grazed in the churchyards. Holy, holy butter.
Holy butter.
That sweet holy butter.
I call that Kerrygold in this house.
Seems a lot of witches were turning humans into horses. That was a favorite.
I think in a time when all horses are owned by the British lords, you just make some dude into a horse. That's the only way to travel. If not, you're stuck.
Well, also, it says that witches often couldn't access horses due to horseshoes nailed on or above the stable doors. So they
just can't enter it.
Right, exactly. They would have to make do elsewhere.
I didn't know that was a thing you could do to stop witches.
There is a little kind of cap on the end here where it says, "What do we make of shape-shifting witches?" It's surprising that the shape-shifting abilities of the witch survive into the 20th century, despite the scant evidence for it in British court records in earlier periods. But this idea of people being able to spot a witch by an injury received in animal form is also quite a persuasive one. Helps demonstrate that people maybe were quite wary about neighbors and perhaps would obviously watch out for unexplained injuries. So if your neighbor has an unexplained injury, be like, "Oh, where'd you get that? From being a turtle at night? Ha ha!" And then strike him with your cane.
Always have a cane ready to strike.
Yeah. It's quite interesting that when witches do turn in animal form, it's either to steal produce from neighbors or attend their meetings. It is a quite narrow set of reasons why somebody would turn into an animal or try to turn into an animal in the first place. That's true. It seems like there's like maybe you just want to go for a fly around. Maybe you want to be a cat. It would be awesome to be a cat.
Yeah, cat or dog seems fun.
Having a great time.
A fish would be cool. Hang out in the cool parts of a river.
Oh, but then you would get caught and eaten.
Oh no.
And then the next day they would come to your house and knock on your door and you'd open the door and you'd be eaten.
I would have like no face because they eat my face.
They love the face.
Fish face is delicious. And if you haven't tried fish face, you're missing it.
Yeah. Ultimately, this is where the shape-shifting abilities of witches seem to begin and end. They turn into animals to commit theft or turn other people into animals, to catch a ride.
To catch a ride somewhere or...
So they're carousing. There's evidence in the folklore, and it does occasionally appear in the court records and confessions. That's how we know about Isabel Gowdy. But it leaves a lot to think about, such as, Roger, what kind of animal would you want to turn into?
I want a dog familiar, but I wouldn't become a dog.
Mm-hmm.
I would maybe become, I don't know, something cool, something fierce, a shrew.
Okay, fierce but tiny.
Yeah, fierce but tiny. I would ride the dog. I'd be on top of its head.
Sure.
The communities would draw cartoons of us.
Yeah. Or if it was a tiny macho man, he'd carry you around piggyback style.
I forgot about the macho man option.
Under his arms.
If a witch's powers are limited by imagination, I would not be the best witch. I would be a very basic witch, is what I'm learning this episode.
I think I would want to fly. So I think I would go like hawk.
Ooh.
And I'd soar the night skies looking for mice to eat. And then I'd eat the mouse. And the next day, my neighbor would be like, have you seen the postman? He never showed up. Someone ate him.
Dun, dun, dun. And
I'd be like, oh, he was the mouse. He turned into the mouse. Or honestly, sometimes I would want to be a little mouse. Just not have to go to work, curl up in a hole in the wall, eat an Oreo the size of a Volkswagen. And this does it for my segment that I'm calling Basic Witches with Jordan Dahl. Here, I'm sending you back the Speaking Skull, Roger.
Gracias.
I'm rolling it through the pneumatic Speaking Skull tubes we had installed.
It's the only safe way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I got it. It's here. It's glowing a weird green, but I'm sure I will be okay.
Great.
This week, my lady and I were having some chuckle at some celebrity newses like we do. We like the weirder celebrities with the weirder newses because, let's be honest, celebrities be weird.
They be weirdin'.
And they have some weird tales.
They have a weird time out there.
This week, she showed me before I drove her to work this morning. Did you know Kevin Bacon had a haunted house?
No.
Well, there's a tale about this. Everyone sit down.
I just assumed that every house he used to live in is haunted by Kevin Bacon now.
It is, but we're talking about a ghost haunting.
Interesting. I saw Kevin Bacon one time.
Ooh.
In the mirror behind me.
Oh, God.
No, at the airport. He was wearing a beanie.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's a cool story overall.
Yeah, thanks.
One time I saw Dave Chappelle and he was screaming to the top of his lungs about gambling on boxing.
Oh, boy.
Kevin Bacon, and this is from Entertainment Weekly, EW.com, written by Emlyn Travis.
Okay.
Emlyn is a name I'm learning. Kevin Bacon had to destroy haunted house on his farm after previous owner thought he'd get possessed.
Whoa. Yes. Keep going. This should be a movie.
This is from this week. This came out September 22nd, 2023. Kevin Bacon is sharing the spooky stipulation that came with purchasing land next to his Connecticut farm.
Ooh.
The actor who first published his own the actor who purchased his own rural farmland back in 1983 revealed on Rob Lowe's Literally podcast. Shout out Rob Lowe. Now you give us one too.
Yeah.
So on a podcast that he said that he was prevented from buying a neighboring plot of land until he contractually agreed to destroy a house on it that the original owner believed was haunted. Kevin Bacon said, one of the pieces that we bought had an old house in it, and the owner didn't want me to own the house. It was an abandoned house that he grew up in. We kind of went back and forth on it for a while. And then eventually I said, listen, you can't sell me a piece of land, but not sell me the house that's on it. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
What if you sell it and there's somebody that's just living basically right up in the backyard?
Yeah, that's weird.
So I get that. I get that on Kevin Bacon's side. To where like, this is a fishy, because like I don't want no squatter on there.
Yeah.
Because that's a weird situation. Is it a squatter situation? If it was me, let's work out some deal so they can still live on the land.
Did you know that when somebody is living in your house unbeknownst to you, it's called frogging?
I thought it was called spider womaning, but frogging would be a simpler word.
Frogging with a PH. Frogging.
I think about it all the time.
It's pretty scary.
I have a door in this building that I'm in right now that no one knows what the fuck is inside of it.
Yeah, you'd have to be a little weirdo.
We've talked to every owner and the management company for the building, and none of us know what's in there.
Yeah, scary. I mean, I think we know what's in there.
Also, I found a hidden storage room.
Okay, what was in there?
I don't know. They're all locked. No one knows whose they are. I got a lot of weird things in my building. No ghosts, though.
Very strange. I mean, that you know of. Yet. Until somebody frogs your ass while you're sleeping.
So the owner, however, was hesitant to part with the property. As Bacon recalled, he said, I can't sell it to you because it's haunted, and I'm afraid you will get possessed and, do some serious damage. Bacon noted that they ended up going back and forth on this haunted house thing for a while until they came to the final agreement and in contract that he says, I had to destroy it within a month of purchasing the land.
Oh, wow. I want to hear more about the haunted house and what was happening there, that this guy was like, Kevin Bacon, the spirit can't get into you. It would be too powerful.
Low asked, please tell me you went in and spent a night in the haunted house. And I would have to say, that would be my first question too. Be like, please tell me you did it.
Yeah.
Please tell me you spent $1 million for this house and had to spend one night in it. Not only did I not do that, Bacon replied, boo, Bacon.
Boo, Bacon. Bacon, boo. Can we get a big bacon boo from the audience real quick? Thank you.
Excellent. Bacon continues, but I went up there and there were some beautiful old pine boards and a banister. And I said to Kira Sedgwick, his wife at the time, or still wife, I don't know what the relationship status is.
Oh, she's a ghost.
Oh. I wonder
They're still married,
how they met.
She's always been a ghost.
I said to her, we got to take those out. And she's like, no, you're not. You're not putting those fucking things in my house.
No. Kira.
I mean, that would be, I think, me and my lady's relationship, to where I'm like, I found this haunted tea set, and Kylie would be like, no.
No thanks. I don't want haunted tea.
You can leave those outside, please.
I'd take some regular tea.
He also revealed why the owner believed the house to be haunted in the first place. It's a long story that has to do with a Native American who, in the 1700s, had been murdered by a colonial soldier.
Bummer.
The owner had Ghostbusters there, which I guess is a paranormal crew that surely should be dealing with some copyright issues eventually.
Sure.
It was a whole thing, he says. Apparently they did the whole rigmarole of spending the night. You have very EPs and everything. Yeah. I don't think Kevin Bacon supplied these, but they did the whole, like, this place is definitely haunted based on what evidence we've gathered.
Right.
While he eventually acquired the land along with a fair few goats and miniature ponies, Bacon has yet to actually see any supernatural activity. He says that you've been in scary movies, and I always find that you're in a real scary movie. Everybody wants to know, well, have you ever seen a ghost? Do you believe in ghosts? The thing is, I always say, I would really love that, but as of yet, it hasn't happened, but I hope someday it will.
Interesting.
So he's open to it. He's all like, it would be cool. I have nothing else going on right now.
Did you ever see Stir of Echoes?
Kevin Bacon film, right? Is it about the ghost then? I might have misunderstood what it's about.
It's about a ghost.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty spooky.
He's done a lot of work that he's like, if Nicolas Cage was a slightly better actor. Like I feel like Kevin Bacon will do whatever role you throw at him. Like he's just having fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very astute comparison.
Like he has fun and action whatever, but he's just doing it for fun while I forgot his name. I'm thinking about Kevin Bacon now.
Yeah.
The man from Face Off.
Yes.
Not John Travolta. Nick Cage has to do it because of a gambling addiction.
He has to do it because of a gambling addiction, and he has to do it because he truly believes that this is the season of the witch, you know? Yeah, I dig it.
On the same podcast, Bacon does regret this experience in saying, I wish that I truly had kept that house up. It would have been a great episode of Celebrity Haunted House.
Yeah, true.
He's not wrong. I'd watch that one.
Wait, is there a show called Celebrity Haunted House?
There's My Haunted Celebrity, I think. There's a few other ones, but like there's a few like celebrity ghost story ones that are interesting. Apparently, a lot of celebrities have haunted experiences.
Sure. I mean, why not? They're just like us.
They're just like us.
They're just like us.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for my very short segment. I wish it was more.
Well, and that's going to do it for this episode of Werewolf Radar. We learned about shape-shifting wishes. We learned about shaving witches, everybody. And
do it against the grain.
We learned about Kevin Bacon's near miss with what could have been an incredible ongoing reality series. But thank you so much for listening to us. If you really liked what we do, check us out on Patreon, check us out on Twitter, check us out on Instagram, and now on Blue Sky and
I'm working
Threads.
on it. You can find us there, but pictures haven't been up.
all kinds of shit. Also, twitch.tv/werewolf_radar. That underscore is very important. Shout out to our Dark Council members for coming and kicking it in the Zoom room. Cheesebot, AWOL Alec, Janet Bravo, coming and hanging out with us. You too can be a Dark Council member by going to patreon.com/werewolf radar and helping us out with a financial donation. If you can't do that, give us your stars. Give us 5 stars wherever you're able to. It really helps people find the pod, and we would love to have all the stars. We're like a fucking Smurfs villain over here. We want the stars. We're collecting shooting stars to power our radar. Until next time, shout out to Chuck from Snappy Little Numbers for our intro and outro song. Good luck to Nate in the Trashiverse. And on the count of 3, our sign-off line. 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky, Spaceman Joe.
I punched so hard that time. Hopefully Nate felt it in the Trashiverse.